Okay guys, welcome back to the series Climbing the Ladder. This is episode 2, and if you guys have watched video 1, then you guys will remember that in the first game we were with the white pieces like we are now, and we highlighted the importance of playing according to chess principles, and the 3 principles that you need to know, just you need to master them, are controlling the center, developing minor pieces, so bishops and knights, and the third thing you need to do is castling. So this is going to be a demonstration of a early queen push. This is the Scandinavian defense, and what's going to happen here is black is going to play either queen takes d4, d5, sorry, or play this gambit line. So what do I recommend for players between the 1000 and 12,000 range on Lichess? I would recommend that you don't play gambits. I would recommend that you just purely get your feet set with the fundamentals, and once you've got that done, then you can go on to play gambits. It's not that I don't like gambits, I think it is just better for you to stick to the fundamentals and just get them down to a T. So for this reason, I'm going to play d4 because I'm allowing black to recapture this piece if he would wish to, and he can choose to offer a second pawn, which I'm not going to take. Again, I'm just going to follow basic principles here. And now that I've got center control, because this pawn is going to drop sooner or later, so this is my central pawn that I care about. Now that I've got this down, I'm going to just develop my pieces. So again, starting off with knights and bishops. Knights usually like to come first, so for this reason I'm going to develop the kingside knight, because by developing the kingside knight I have the possibility of castling sooner. And so okay, he is attacking this knight. It's always a good idea to remember, guys, this is especially important for this elo. Keep in mind whenever your knights are pinned, this pawn is not defended, so there's this problem that may occur in your games. So this pawn is actually loose if it were not for the queen, so keep that in mind, guys, it's super important. And just following principles, I'm going to develop my bishop. This is an okay square. I'm going to castle, and I'm going to play from here. So my goal here is not to play super precise computer moves. All I want to do is just play simple chess and get down the basics, because by getting this down, you will definitely win games. I can guarantee it. So, okay. We have 2 pieces developed. Black has 2 pieces developed. Black has good central control, so do we. I like castling. And the difference here, guys, there is a huge difference. The huge difference in our positions is the fact that we have castled and he cannot castle as quick as us. And judging by the way he's developing, I would assume he wants to play something like queen d7 and castle on the queen side. That's the way he's developing towards. Okay. Again, keeping in mind that this pawn is defended only by the queen. So if it were not for this queen, this pawn would be capturable. Since the queen does defend, it's okay. And so now I think I shall develop this bishop, and actually, yeah, let's develop this knight here. I'm gonna play knight to c3. Again, may not be the most accurate move, but it's a good move. Nevertheless, okay. And now that this pawn is pushed up, maybe we have ideas of playing bishop g5 and pinning this knight here. Is there a purpose behind it? That's a very important question you guys need to ask. And I don't see much value in it now, because he could play bishop to e7, and then that would kind of parry our threats. So what I'm thinking of now is we still have some pieces that can develop. So first of all, we can play this rook to e1. So I think this is a fine move. Let's play rook e1 here. And maybe in the future we can think of some h3 push, bishop captures, and then we've lined up our rook to his king. Our rook is actually already lined up, so I think before playing this bishop out move, I think it is a good idea to play h3 here. And let's see what he opts. Okay, he chose to go this route. He wants to maintain the pin, which is a good idea. And we need to decide how we're going to deal with this. So, some considerations. We could play knight e5 and have a very nice centralized knight, whereas he would capture, and we can accelerate our developments by playing... Okay, we can't play queen takes. We would have to play knight takes or rook takes. I'm not sure how I feel about that just yet. So, for the time being, I will just play this move. Just develop my final piece and avoid trades for now. The trades will come later. Okay, so bishop to b4. Again, a very natural move, and now I'm noticing that he does want a castle on the king side. So I think what we can do here is play a move like a3 looks good. And the idea of a3 is that we are okay if he wants to take this piece, which is something else that I'd like to talk to you guys about, which is, okay, now that we're developed and we're in the middle game, a3 was an interesting move because if he did take, we would double our pawns, but what we would get in return is the bishop pair, which is something that's really important. So he didn't give us the bishop pair, he's moved back, but what I think we can do now is just add some more pressure to the position, or we can also choose to play the queen up and develop the queen a bit better. Let's play this move. Okay, he brings his bishop back. And it's always important to keep in mind the kind of tactics that your opponent may have in the position. And I'm noticing that with this bishop rerouting to c7, there's this clear idea of eyeing this h2 square. So maybe in the future there could be some sort of queen to d6 ideas, him capturing this knight, removing the defense of h2, and going for a quick checkmate. So this is something we need to be cautious of. So for this reason, I do think it is the correct time to play knight into e5. So let's play it. We are threatening his bishop here, and it's not defended because if we take, he drops the queen, which is kind of sneaky. And if he takes, then we are fine in just recapturing and pinning this knight here. To which he would have this response, bishop takes. But we're okay with that, again, because there's this tactic of bishop takes. And if he plays something like bishop takes now, which is correct, we can choose to play either rook takes, queen takes, and I think this move is okay as well. So let's calculate. If takes, takes, he'll probably play takes, and we can play takes. And if not, if he plays takes, then we'll play takes, and that doesn't look as good. So yeah, I'm not too happy about that position. So queen takes would hang this pawn. I don't like that, so let's play rook takes. Knight takes was also a possibility here. Okay, that's a very logical move. And I think now what would be good is simply to drop the bishop back, as he did, because I've noticed that this pin is really annoying. The reason he played h6 is because this is a very annoying pin, and if he wants to break this pin in a very concrete way, he's going to have to push his pawns, and that could be quite risky. So I'm happy he did this because it makes his king side very vulnerable. If you remember in the first game, the king side was super vulnerable, and because of that, we got a very big attack. And this is why calculation is so important. And chess is a game where calculations can be very similar to a game of war. And in the sense where, I think I've mentioned this in the last video, so you need to count the attackers and defenders. So as in war, there would be one piece defending this, one defender on this knight, and we have two attackers. Since we have more attackers than defenders, then this works out and we win a pawn for us. So we can capture back like this, and we have successfully won a pawn. And if we were to have equal attackers and defenders, then black would actually get the better of us in that situation. But luckily we win a pawn here. And now, since we are up material, I am not opposed to trading pieces. I also don't hate the idea of just going for an attack. And given his last move, I am preferring the latter. So what he has done, he has pushed all of his pawns in front of his king. He has made his position very weak. And for this reason, I think we can play this knight g6 move, attacking his rook. And once he does move the rook, notice that we've opened up this line of fire. And you can see that the fact that he hasn't castled his king is going to be a major hindrance now for him. And he's going to have to resolve some very difficult problems in his position. So we capture here. I'm assuming he's going to play this move. Yeah. We don't have check. We have queen here, which is interesting, setting up a pin, a discovered attack, but he can capture here. So also not a very big fan of that. So what we can do in this situation is we can add more attackers to the position. We could play rook d1, sorry, rook a e1. We can find a good trade here, which I think we have just found. We can play takes, and the queen is hit, so he cannot take here just yet. So danger levels. He cannot take here. And now once we reach this position, I think it's a very good move to play the doubling up of the rooks. And this is another principle which is good to follow. Rooks belong on open files. And you can see the dominance of both these rooks just controlling every single square. And it's going to be very hard for white to find a response to this. For example, I think we already have ideas of sacking the rook, queen takes, check, or we could go for something more simple. Let's go for something a bit more simpler and play queen here, setting up a discovered attack. Now he can't take us here because we will play check, which is a double attack, or do we have better? I think this is simply mate. So check. He cannot take any piece, and we have a simple checkmate on f7. So this is the importance, guys, of really castling your king. Notice that black did not castle. He did not care about his king's safety, and that is just a simple invitation for your opponents to come destroy your position. So the way I like to think of it is your king, if you have a pot of gold and you really want to protect the pot of gold, are you going to leave it out in the open, or are you going to hide it at the end of a rainbow? Probably you're going to hide it somewhere very safe. So that is what the king represents in chess. So again, the Scandinavian takes, and what would happen if he had played queen takes here is what I wanted to illustrate this game, which is the vulnerability of this queen and how easily we can push this queen around and get our pieces active. For example, the second most common move, if I'm not mistaken, is to play queen a5 in this position. Queen a5 is actually the most popular, so queen a5 is what's played the most. After this position, we can get our central control. So we've got two principles going. And let's say, for example, let's just say that black plays this move. This is already winning on the spot for white because of bishop b5. And because you've moved the same piece twice and the second move was a tactical blunder, you lose the game. So this would be very unfortunate for black. So d4 would happen here, and black would play something like knight f6, which is a natural move. We can play bishop d2, already threatening some tactics. Notice that we've got ideas of playing knight into b5 with a discovered attack, and play would go on from here. Notice that also that we've got 1, 2, 3 pieces developed. We have central control. Black has one minor piece developed, and the queen can be easily targeted to even help accelerate furthermore our plans of developing minor pieces. So this would be very good for us. Knight f6 happens, which is a gambit line. And notice that by not accepting the sacrifice at any point whatsoever, okay, it's fine that we lose our advantage. We had a +1, but that's really not what we're bothered by now. Bishop g4, and look at that, we've already got our +1 advantage back because of an imprecision. So don't worry too much about this. Just find good developing moves, and if you manage to find these good developing moves, you will have a better game. So rook e1, developing pieces. We push this pawn. We develop our final minor piece. He develops his, I play a3, asking if he wants to trade bishop for knight. And usually, this is another principle, guys. The bishops tend to be worth a bit more than knights in open positions. So if you were to take, I would not care about this pawn structure being damaged because it's damaged in a way that's actually helpful. For example, it controls this knight from jumping into b4 now, and this is also controlled. This d4 pawn is even more reinforced now, and it's very hard for him to target this pawn, which is quite safe actually. So this would be a very good position for us. Furthermore, again, it helps with another principle, which is putting our rooks on open files. We now have the open b file for our rook, which is another trump for the position here for white. So this would be excellent as well. By him not taking, we could play b4, we could move our knight away, we can play queen d3, which I chose to play. Bishop rerouted to c7, and knight e5 with this tactical idea. So if you were to play something like bishop takes, this would be a big mistake because of bishop takes here. And this bishop was not defended because this knight cannot move. So again, the importance of keeping track of which knights are pinned, because if this knight is pinned, then you may fall for tactics like this if you're not careful. So this is why it's very important. But my opponent played super well and noticed that this was undefended, and he played bishop takes c2. So really good move by him. We decided that taking with the rook was the best decision to go forward. h6. Okay, we do not want to trade this because the pin was actually very strong, so let's go back. He pushes some more. We have to go to this square. And then knight e5 was a mistake. And the reason it was a mistake is because we are winning a pawn here. So take, take, take. Notice that we had, in this position, 2 attackers against 1 defender. So we end up on top on that trade, and we win a clean pawn. He kind of goes into desperation mode, which is something I'm going to talk about in a separate video. Chess psychology in and of itself is super important, and you can see that knight g6, the second best engine move, is +5 here. And then after rook, we have this capture. His king is just completely exposed. There's nothing for him to do except try and run away, but it's not going to happen. Bishop takes with danger levels. Rook's doubling up. We are playing all of our principles. We've got our rooks doubled up. His king is in the center and very exposed. We even have discovered checks like this, which I didn't see in the game. And so yeah, if this, actually there would be this. So I'm not too thrilled about this. Of course, there would be takes and stuff like this, but still, I'd like to keep it a bit more simple than that, something that you guys can find really easily in your games. Just to show you guys that you don't have to do anything spectacular or amazing to win chess games, you just have to follow the principles, and that will get you further and further up the rating ladder. Yeah, and then this move, queen c4, and it doesn't matter if he takes because now we just have rook check and mate. Illustrating the, again, the exposed king. If he were to take with the king in this position, then this would also not work because we would have stuff like engine is giving rook takes f6. And if king takes, then we play rook e6, queen e6 mate. Notice that the king has no squares to run to. And if he were to play just king hiding away, then that's another pawn, and we are slowly but surely going to win this game. Something like rook like this, doubling up on the file now, would look really good, and there's no way for him to defend this. There's just no way to defend. We've also got this check if need be, so everything is working in our position. Even got this d5 tactic, so everything is perfect. So this is a way that you guys can play your games, and hopefully this works out for you. So if you enjoyed, leave a like, leave a comment, let me know which openings you'd like me to play, and I shall play them for you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed, hope you guys learned something, and I'll see you guys for episode 3. Bye.